Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Real Raw Sales Role Play. We're going to, get ready and allow everyone to mingle in. I know some of you are listening to this podcast style. We're also streaming this live and having attendees from all over the place join in. So we do like to give just some time to get everyone to kind of mingle. So today on this Real Raw Sales Role Play presented by Unblinded, we're going to have Michael Smikun. And Michael Smikun is a student and partner of Sean Callagy in Callagy Law. And student, I say because Michael has been a student of the Callagy results formula, now the Unblinded results formula, for over a decade, 11 years to be exact. And Sean Callagy, he is the founder of Callagy Law and this formula. So I am excited to see the dynamic between, Yoda and Luke Skywalker that is going to be present today during this Real Raw role play, where we're going to be having Michael Smikun actually, one, conveys identity. I'd love to introduce you to everyone listening to the movement, who he is in the world. He is a Superman to Sean's Batman. And then at the same time, even though he is of such a high level of greatness, when we have him sell Sean on legal services, we will then pause and have Sean teach, or better said, have Sean sell Michael Smikun on the exact same services. So obviously, based on the relationship and connection that they have, there's already a lot of built rapport. So to all of you listening, yes, view this as a small portion of entertainment, even though it will be, because that is the type of energy that Michael Smikun and Sean bring to these dynamics. At the same time, view through the prism of the formula how you can sharpen. So I see we have a new attendee, Michael Smikun. You here with us?
Hey, Fernando, how are you doing, brother?
How are you, sir? So we are excited. We are doing well, and we're pumping. So I see you in quarantine mode in your beautiful office at home.
Yes, and this is my Corona chic that we're in right now.
Corona chic, I love it. So tell me, do you walk around swinging the bat at home too, or?
No, my 3-year-old is running around too close to me all the time, so I cannot be swinging the bat. But Fernando, does anybody ever ask you, how are you doing, brother?
Thank you. I do get asked occasionally, and I am doing well. I am excited. I feel like I'm on the fastest roller coaster on the front row, blindfolded backwards, and just kind of enjoying the ride, putting my hands up. And the blended movement is growing. We're doing great things. So I see the Sean smirk is in full effect.
Yes. Well, this is weird for me to be listening to you, Fernando, talk to you, yes, Michael. So Michael and I joke about the dynamic of like parents and grandchildren and like the generational dynamic of teachers and apprentices.
Yes.
So you're both in the same generation, but two different ages sort of, or like historicals. So even though you might be more of a contemporary of somebody like Chris Miller or Robert Solomon in litigation, Fernando, you're generationally the same as Michael, because it's like direct line of integration in what we're doing. So it's like fun and cool and interesting to have you guys there chatting. So
Fernando, you're like the kid that someone decided to have like 10 years after they stopped having kids.
Well, actually, there's a 14-year age gap for myself and my brother. So I am used to this dynamic.
So this is a comfortable dynamic for you.
So this is normal. I got it. I got a big brother and I got a couple other dynamics. And yeah, it works. So I was honoring that you are the original student. I've learned how to learn by matching and modeling you. So, and you've given me some of the greatest access points, even though I am apprentice to Sean, you have given me some of my greatest breakthroughs of 2019. So it is just a pleasure for me.
A fun story. So me and Fernando were housemates at Date with Destiny. And at one point it was just me and him in this like ginormous house. And like, he's like rocking out in the living room to whatever it is he's listening to. I'm rocking out to whatever I'm listening to. And then I'm like, Fernando, what are you listening to? And he puts something on and I'm like, what is this? And he goes, this is like a really popular song. How do you not know what it is? And I'm like, I've never heard of this before. And then I put on something that I was rocking out to, and he goes, what is this? And I'm like, this is like really popular music, Fernando. And so we both got into a fight about what is popular music, but that was it.
And I'm sure that Fernando is like, and what does rocking out to mean?
I am now confused.
Yes, I'm now confused. So are we ready, gentlemen?
Yes.
We are green light. We are prepped. We are ready to go. So to everyone, we're going to kick it off just to kind of reload and anchor. This is the Unblinded Real Raw Sales role play where we have, just exceptional human beings jump on, exceptional in the world of sales, of scale, of business, and of influence that are jumping on here. One, to share and talk about their greatness, and two, to sell their products and services to Sean, and then which will have some coaching and then role reverse and have Sean sell the same products and services back to the person. So on this dynamic, it's interesting because, they're business partners and they're both business partners in Callagy Law. So Michael, you're going to be going first. Sean's going to be kind of building some rapport with you and then hitting the go button. You're going to be selling legal services to Sean, but you do not know Sean. You do not know each other. You are, building a whole new scenario, and then we'll pause, coach, and then Sean, you'll flip it back and sell Smikun on the same products and services. So Sean, I'll kick it off to you to start.
Yeah, no, Fernando, thank you. And Michael, it is truly a pleasure and honor to be here together in this format after spending 11 years together, developing and growing in so many different ways. So thanks for being here, brother.
Please, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So Michael, just by way for everybody out there, thank you for being here. And these are in service of you and sharpening your listening, as Fernando said, and the learning, acceleration, breakthroughs. And there's so much that's been present on these real raws already. And I am 1,000% sure that the benefits that are going to flow out of for everyone from these modules are truly incredible. So thank you, Michael, and everybody for tuning in. So as you're listening, be listening for what you would be doing, for how Michael could be optimizing, for all of our, our ecosystem in mastery, Unblinded Sales Mastery. Be listening through the prism of the 4 steps, 10 indispensable elements, 4 energies. For those that are not, be listening through how you would optimize and whatever it is that you do, although there is an access point for even more massive acceleration, dramatically so, through the formula. But let's check in and contextualize Michael's development and his experience with the formula and everything that's happening in its most optimal, in suboptimals. But Michael, and we're, for the sake of time, and I know we have beautiful, incredible stories together, I'm going to drive a little bit. We have a very fun first meeting. We'll skip the humor part of it, where I showed up in shorts and our meeting started 2 hours late. And then I offer you a job without, I think, even asking you a question, which is in the formula, but outside the formula. And that's a story for a different day. So we began working together. And that was in 1999. Yes. I'm sorry, 2009, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah. August 2009.
Yeah. So we come to work together late summer 2009. And just, if you could take everybody through and let's stay tight, like the 60-second version of who you were when you started and who you were by 1 year later in terms of your ability to influence people.
Sure. So when it came to ideas of influence, what I had viewed as influence was when you have the right argument, you make it as articulately as you can, right? So here's what the case law says. Here are the facts. You win, period, right?
For anybody that's tuning out because, mentally, emotionally, because you're hearing legal speak, what Michael is saying is, if you have an argument, you make the most logical argument. Right. So you should listen to me and buy what I'm selling, whether you're a judge, a leader, or a product or service, because I'm the most logical. That's what you're saying.
That's exactly
right?
Right. Yep. And I'm a lawyer, right? And so this is what lawyers do. We're polite, we're articulate, we're well-spoken, we argue the logical arguments, we apply the facts to the arguments, we win, right? That's the way it's supposed to work. And when I came to work for Sean—
And let's pause for a second.
Sure.
Now, and again, whatever your comfort level is in sharing this, you do, but you grew up in an environment that was not exactly professional and appropriate in your growing up years. Fair to say?
100%. And I'm okay to share because I think it's really important to show how someone can grow up in the right atmosphere to learn influence and ignore it completely, right? Ignore their gut and their instinct. And so I'm a first generation born American. My parents come from the Ukraine, the Soviet communist Russia. when they came here. We lived in the projects until I was 13 years old. And, it wasn't like a great project to grow up in. It was a very rough area. And there were times where, I found myself in super, horrible situations.
Yeah, let's pause right there. Fernando, would you have thought that, did you know Michael Smikun grew up in the projects?
Dude, no idea. No idea.
Yeah.
We share like first generation isms and like these dynamics. So please continue. I did not know that fact. That is definitely rises your heroic unique identity in my eyes.
Yeah. So,
and why? And so everybody can get this. Why? So
because
I know
who you
why,
are, dude.
you know why, but what does it tell you then about Michael?
It tells me that, it wasn't handed to him. It shows me the level of self-mastery he must have had. How he must have matched and modeled and believed in himself to go out and do more, like what you've accomplished, like National Geographic, all these things from there. Like, that's a story. I'm curious. Like, that's not normal. Nothing about you is normal. That definitely is not normal.
Yeah, I grew up in a situation that had a lot of pain in it, right? There were times where in order to go to a friend's house, I had to look around the corner of a building to make sure that there weren't the wrong kind of people around. And if they were, I had to run away, right? Because there were times where I found myself being, beat up in groups. There was one time where I was forced to fight one of my friends for pleasure, right? Like, of other people. And so I grew up in that and
let that land. Like, Michael, that's unbelievable. With all my heart, and I've said it to you before, but I'll say it in front of everybody. So this lands, like, I am so sorry that happened to you. Like, it's extraordinary. And we live in a world where you're an attorney, you're a male, you're Caucasian. And I think there's presumptions that occur if somebody is Latino or African-American or Asian. Like, we have these like reflexive presumptions. I'll make you bet, and Fernando, you could validate this, that when you see Michael Smikun, his white male Caucasian-ness, having been physically attacked, living in the projects, and being forced to fight friends, those are probably not three things that would have come to mind, Fernando. Yes or no?
Those are not things that would have come to mind. No.
Yeah. And what's present for you right now, Fernando?
I see you more as Superman. I don't see Sean as a lawyer. I see you more on the law, dynamics. And this, when Sean says Superman, I take it because I believe in Sean's word. And now I see it because now I can see you standing for others like you and that are going through what you've gone through. And it's never saying that they were only words. Now I have context to when you are Superman standing for aggressive, urgent. I see it now. I see a why behind it in a way that I didn't see before.
Yeah. And sharpening the listening of our ecosystem out there, learning on this real raw, why are we sharing this? To have a heartfelt moment with Michael Smikun. It's one of 10 things we're doing. But more importantly for you than that is to understand the power of the formula. Because if people do not know your most heroic elements, like that Michael overcame what he overcame and more things, then you don't know Michael, and then people don't know you. So when you're communicating with people, what you're allowing for and creating is the uncovering of their heroism. What you're stepping into yourself is your heroism. And it's a part of the formula. So like, think of what's present. And Michael had no idea this was going to happen.
Nope.
I mean, actually,
no idea.
So what Michael was probably
he calls me 30 minutes ago and just like, hey, like, what am I doing? Do I have to have my hair done? And I was like, Michael, you're going to be fine. Have your hair done and show up. So that's what's present.
Yeah. And you know why? Because Michael is so used to our interactions, and our interactions are typically, like he's now at a level of mastery, but it's still like apprentice teacher dynamic between us still. It's like chop busting at some level and teasing that goes on in a, big brother, little brother, or parental dynamic. And I'm sure Michael wasn't ready for that. And I deliver this occasionally, but Michael, I'm delivering this because a lot of folks don't know you. and we're in the outside world, and you can't possibly know somebody without knowing this about them. And it's in service of everybody listening, because it's how this functions when we display who we are and uncover who other people are. And so that's why this is happening. So fantastic, Michael. And so please continue, brother. So we're in the who you were and then who you are.
Yeah. So, I grew up in that kind of an environment, and, that plus having heard stories my entire upbringing of what it was like to grow up in communist Russia, right? Where people were not treated well, right, by their government. And on top of that, I come from a Jewish, religion, and Jews were not treated very well in Russia. So it was like this heavy persecution, injustice, and, it really weighed heavily on me. And my parents were wonderful people in that they try to instill the most important virtues of all, which is justice, fairness, honesty, truth-telling, and things of that nature. I still have a memory of my dad when I was 3 years old. I accidentally walked out of a store with a toy in hand, and we had walked probably, half a mile, and then he recognized that I had a toy in my hand from the store. I was 3 years old. I didn't even realize what I was doing. And we walked all the way back to the store, and he made me hand it back, and he told me the importance of truthfulness, of honesty, and not stealing, not taking from anybody, and the fairness of the transaction. And so I just have all these memories, and that's what really drove me to, making the decisions that I did in my life and becoming an advocate for people. It just became so important for me to protect those that couldn't protect themselves, make sure that the victims and the people who are being bullied and abused have a powerful advocate, to stand up for them and to make sure that their voice is heard, especially in a justice system that's not fair, right? And a justice system that's not designed for fairness. It's, the cost of access is tremendous. And so efficiency becomes so important, and just making sure that everybody's heard and they get the best possible result. It's what drove me there.
So just asking this. So when you came out of law school and you were professional, and I joke about this, but I mean it sincerely, like you acted like professional, stiff, logical attorney person, because it's not who you are.
Right.
You're funny. You love to see the silliness in things and hypocrisies and contradictions. You laugh a lot. What was it? Because this is important when people sell and influence and lead their companies or sell their product that are listening. Why was it that you became somebody different? Do you think you saw like incredible, crazy influence on the streets?
Yeah.
You had a unique level of influence with your parents. I've never asked you this question before, so I'm incredibly curious.
Yeah.
Why do you think it was when you became an attorney and all of a sudden, you put on your tie or your jacket or just your button-down shirt, and now I'm Michael the attorney? Why was the model of influence that you came forth with such a logical one? Why do you think?
Yeah, and as we continue with the identity, just time check in 5 minutes, if we can jump into the role play. So 5 more minutes, Michael, continue.
Yeah. So a lot of it has to do with rules, right? The rules that I thought I was supposed to be following, and the rule that an attorney must be well-spoken, polite, not be, loud, not be aggressive, not be scrappy, not be a fighter, but someone who can, as well as possible, state the arguments, to be that professional so that clients look at you and they go, wow, that's the kind of lawyer who I want working for me. Look at him. Look at the way he carries himself. Look at the way he communicates. He's so professional. He's so articulate. It was rules, right? And nobody, there is no rules, right? Like it wasn't real. It was a figment of my imagination. It was a hallucination.
So checking in for Michael and all of you, where are you, the listeners, being inauthentic? Where's your self-mastery, creative rule structures? We had the privilege of having Deborah Gaylord on, Courtney Epps, Rob Gill, Joan Greco. And I would say uniformly in different ways, each was following some limiting rule structure, and they were amazing. They're successful. And I have it. and I'll share more of mine at some point, either later today or in the future, of like, is it my place? Should I really be me? You know, in different settings. So we have these rule structures, and they were limiting. They're limiting Michael. They're limiting you, the listener. And that's why we set up the role plays with this background in the teaching, because Michael had it, and then he made a breakthrough. And Michael, in 30 seconds, what was the breakthrough? And not the moment that I don't want the story, but the breakthrough came out of somebody who is not being professional, not being appropriate, and they were engaged in massive levels of influence, Zeus disruption, all kinds of things going on. And after that encounter, we spoke. I gave you a lesson on what to do with it. And who did you become on the other side of it, or begin to become on the other side of it back in late 2009?
Yeah, a person who obliterated those rules, right? A person who broke through their comfort zone in operating in a space that they thought they were supposed to be operating in. And once I did that, once I broke through my first barrier, right, my first comfort zone, and began operating outside of that sphere and seeing the results that I can produce from breaking through just that one barrier, I was hooked, right? I'm like, what else can I do? What's the next comfort zone? What's the next barrier? What's the next limiting belief I can challenge and destroy to become more effective in what I do on a day-to-day basis? So it was a person who challenged themselves, challenged their own ego to say, I'm doing it right, I'm doing it according to the rules, and then say, pardon my language, F the rules. What if I do it this way, which is against the rules, break through the comfort zone and achieve an enormous result? And it became kind of an addiction, right? To challenge myself, to realize, wow, I'm operating on a rule. Does that even make sense? Even if it does it help me? Let's get rid of that and see what it does. And then, more and more results were produced, better results, faster results as a result of that.
Yeah. And with all that said, have you arrived? Like, are you done? What's your sense of what's left ahead in your own skill development and going from hello to yes with people?
I mean, look, no, right? In every iteration of new versions of myself, and we'll call this version 11.3 or whatever. In every iteration, I recognize the next iteration that's available and what that iteration can do. So there's nothing that I do to this day where I believe I've arrived, right? Or I'm at a level of mastery that I can put that down. There's definitely things that I'm not as great in, and so I challenge myself to become better and better at that. But I always recognize that there's more to be done with that other area to produce even more and better results. So no, I never arrived. I always think that I can bring more of myself. There's always more that I can do. And the truth of it is that that's been one of the biggest building blocks to my own success, because I'm able to challenge myself. I used to argue it was like a 90-10, like, oh, that person's 90%, I'm 10%. Then it became 99-1. Now it's like 99.9. What was the 0.1% thing that I could do different to produce a better result, to have done it differently? And I do it. This is what's weird. I always do it when I don't produce the result, but I do it even when I win, right? Even when I get what I want, I'm always looking at the next iteration and going, what could I have done even better to produce an even better result the next time, even though I got what I wanted?
All right. And what is your 30 seconds, and then we begin role playing. What is your conclusion about the power of this formula and what you've seen it in its capacity from my actions, yours, and others?
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah. So this formula and applying it, when I'm applying it, it changes the trajectory of my life. When I'm not applying it, I'm not getting what I want. I'm not achieving the results sometimes, but not the way I want to. And so this formula, when used and used consistently, will change the trajectory of your life the same way it has mine, right? The same way it does, the associates that work for me, my wonderful team of like warriors. When they're doing this, they're achieving exceptional results. When they're not, they're not. And so, people have a formula, they have a model of the way they communicate, but if they're not getting everything that they want, this formula allows you to do that, because it allows you to learn how to do more and better and achieve levels of mastery to get what you want.
Amazing. All right. So let's jump in. So I want to make this in service of everybody. So what we're going to do today is, and Michael, I think you'll be good with this, is let's have an ecosystem merger conversation.
Sure.
So Michael is going to be selling me, going from hello to yes with me on an ecosystem merger. I know Michael can go from hello to yes, having a legal client say yes, a legal business client with a challenge. He's absolutely incredible, right? Where Michael stands an enormous and extraordinary opportunity for growth, and he's on his way. He's taking steps, is by engaging in higher levels of marketing process mastery, as we define it in the program, to create acceleration in his hello to yes dynamic. That's the space we're talking about. So, Michael, fair that we had that conversation? Yes or no?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. And so the hello to yes with me is I'm an in-house counsel at a big corporation. And it's about us having a conversation about ecosystem merging in any way you see fit. You want me to go to lunch with you? You want me to say yes to come on a video with you or podcast? Whatever you want to do. But I'm an in-house counsel, and it's hello to yes with me because it's a fantastic ecosystem merger possibility, and that's what we're doing. Fair?
Yeah.
All right. Take it away from hello. Hello to yes.
So,
and Fernando, time check. What time we have?
We are at 3:28, so let's do 15 minutes. At 15 minutes, I'll make a ding, and we'll wrap it up in 3.
Good. Let's go, Mike.
So, Sean, I appreciate you taking my call. Do you have a couple of minutes? Would now be an okay time to talk?
Yeah, absolutely. And who's this? I'm sorry.
My name is Michael Smikun. I'm actually calling from a law firm, Callagy Law. But I wanted to chat with you about something a little bit unusual, right? I'm not calling you about legal work. I'm actually calling you to talk about you and your opportunities and what's going on in your life. So if you would just give me a couple of minutes, maybe a minute or two, I could tell you a little bit about what it is I'm looking to do. But in order to do that, I'd like to know a little bit more about you. So how are you doing? It's been a super crazy time. Hope you're well supplied and sheltered. How are you doing?
You know what? I'm doing well. I'm a little confused. So what would you like to chat about? Like, I appreciate the call.
Sure.
You know, it's a lot going on right now, but what are we doing?
Yeah, of course. So just by way of background, I do videos and podcasts with different guests, right? Appearing and talking about themselves, talking about their businesses, talking about what's working for them, what their challenges are, and then talking about opportunities that I may be able to bring, that they may be able to bring to create a merger where there's a synergy and capability of you boosting up opportunities for yourself, for the businesses that you work in, for your teams, for growth and things of that nature. It could be anything, right? And it's funny, some people want to talk about the challenges in the legal profession. Some people want to talk about the challenges that they have with their teams and leadership. And so I'm just trying to, I'm reaching out and wanted to make contact and see if that was something that you wanted to chat about.
Yeah. I mean, thank you. I don't know that I'm that exciting. So yeah, I'm not even sure what I would have to talk about, Michael. Honestly, I think I lead a pretty mundane existence.
Well, what do you mean by mundane? So,
I think I'm pretty boring. I work here at ABC Corp, and I do my work, and I don't know that I can't even imagine what anybody would want to. I mean, I think I'm a smart person, but I don't know that anything anybody want to hear me talk about.
Well, you'd be surprised, but tell me a little bit about what your work is.
Yeah. So, okay, out of role note, opportunity for huge disruption right there. I would say, listen, you may be right and be totally boring. Can you give me like 5 minutes to find out? So I would always lean into the objection, and maybe if you can, have a little bit of fun with it. But yeah, maybe you're totally boring. I don't think so, but can I have 5 minutes to find out, Sean? Like that would be, I think, a really effective question. Does that feel right, Fernando?
Yes, it's leaning in. And I believe a good shift in the energy, because right now we're kind of in Zeus, somewhat aspirational, so it could be a good access.
Good fun access. How did that feel, Michael?
Sure, absolutely. So
Yeah.
let me try and emphasize.
Anybody in the chat, right? I mean, any questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. Your engagement supports you, the community, and everything that's happening. So, Michael, yeah, take it from there. So let's assume you asked me that question. I go, yeah, okay, like sure. So I don't think you're gonna find much, but no problem. 5 minutes or even 10. So fire away, Michael.
So tell me, like, what kind of hobbies do you have? What makes you boring? Let's talk about that. Like, what makes you boring?
What makes me boring? Interesting. Is, you know what I love to do? I love to play chess. And I know, yeah, I love to play chess. I love, I'm a fairly introverted person. And yeah, I like to read books, play chess. And I think that those are things most people find pretty boring.
So let me ask you this question. What's the fastest you've ever won a chess match in moves?
I would say in moves, 11.
Okay, let me ask you this question. If you could choose any opponent, alive or dead, to face off against you in a game of chess, who would it be? And you can't say Bobby Fischer.
Amazing. Pause, right? That's a brilliant question. Another access for those following along at home could have been when Michael said, when I said chess, he could have said, so you're a pretty logical introverted person, right? To create contrast. And I'd say yes. And then said, can I ask you this? What do you love about chess? What do you love about chess? To access goddess energy. Because Michael had Zeus, hit a little fun, had some aspiration. But when somebody says something they do all the time, a great question to ask is, what do you love about that? Right? And all of a sudden, do you feel that energy, Michael?
Yeah, 100%, yes.
Yeah, like you should feel it. I love your question, but I might have done both. Like, what do you love about it? To put the person in their heart,
yeah,
and then have access. So let me keep going in your model. Let me answer the question I posed, love, and then ask me the question about who would you play, alive or dead,
sure.
right?
Sure.
So you know what I love about chess? I love that it rewards incredible strategic thinking. I think the world operates in a space where people act and don't think. And it really harms them. And I think chess teaches such incredible lessons about that. And I just love that about the game. It rewards the person who thinks most and who has the greatest plan of success. And I think that's the way the world should work. And I love it about that.
Wow, that's unbelievable. Let me ask you this question then. How do you think the world would change if everybody thought before they acted, if they strategically planned their decisions and made intelligent decisions instead of just acting?
That is a drop the mic 9.999 question. Fantastic question and level 5 listening, taking somebody deeper. And for anybody who's new, and if you're not, feel what just happened because they're right questions and depth of listening. Great job, Michael. Answer. What do I think would happen? We'd have less wars. We'd have less crime. We'd have more money and abundance. We'd cure more diseases. And people would just be happier. Yeah, it would be pretty remarkable. Right here, let me help. Right here, go, and Sean, you think you're boring? Right there, right? As soon as you have somebody to a place where they can't possibly, like you've created disruption, lock it in and go, and you still think you're boring? Or I wouldn't say still think. It'll be, and you're boring, right? Like right there, let it sit as how ridiculous it is, as an acknowledgement. That's like that's like a level 9.999 integrity-based move, but it's helping the other person see the truth that they're not boring at all. They have so much to share and give from their heart. It's unbelievable. Yes, Michael?
100%, yeah.
All right. So let's say that we're there and like, right. And now I guess I'm not boring. So where would you take it from there?
So tell me a little bit about what kind of challenges do you face from day to day? Are they strategic challenges or other types of challenges?
Yeah. I might drop in, again, coaching everybody, want everybody following them sequentially. I might drop in here just a little bit like, how'd you get into law in the first place? Why law? Like now, because what you've done is you've disrupted the initial issue to build rapport, which is like, I'm just like, remember the test was you're boring. We've broken through boring. Now I drop right into the formula. So I get into like, just, hey, like why law, right? Like that's where you are. Or like, you know, can I ask this? Sean, I don't even know you. Where are you from originally? Now I drop back into the form. For the sake of time,
Gotcha.
Let's not do that. And let's presume that we got into more emotional depth now. And I shared a story about my childhood and my upbringing and, you know, my grandfather and grandmother and going legally blind and how it brought me to this place of like making decisions and et cetera. And we have rapport. And then I would move into an aspirational question, Michael, of like, so what are your dreams? Like, where are you taking all this? And then get into what's working, what are the challenges? Make sense?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So sequentially, you've taken me, you've disrupted, here's what's happened for those following at home. Michael disrupted my initial pattern of I'm boring. So let me take the challenge and see. Disrupted it, we connected deeply. He made me feel. He made me think I am not boring. He said, I see you, I hear you. What you say matters to me. It's incredible what you think about chess. Disruption. He then would have taken me back to, hey, where are you from? Like, where are you? Like, you know, in your background. He'd ask questions at those spaces. Then he says to me, so like, if you could have it all your way, like, where does it all go? Like, what are your dreams? Like, ask me that question, ask it congruently. You have rapport, it fits now. So ask me that question congruently, Mike.
Awesome.
So Sean,
3-minute check-in.
Yeah.
If you had it all your way, right? Tell me a little bit about what your dreams look like.
You know what I'd love to do? I'd love to eventually get out of the law.
Wow.
I'd love to coach kids playing chess. I'd love to create programs that do that and help people see how they can become incredibly more successful by mastering chess and their thinking. So that's what I'd love to do. And yeah.
So in terms of that, a beautiful dream, right? What are you doing to make that dream happen?
Probably not a lot. You know, I play regularly and I haven't really done much to advance that dream, but that's,
well, and I apologize for interrupting you, Sean, but can I ask you this, right? You have such a beautiful love for chess, right? And you want to get out of the law so you can teach. But I mean, how much time does it really take to teach, right? Couldn't you make like a video of you playing chess and describing your moves and disseminate that to like groups of children and things of that nature so they can learn from you the skills that you've learned, right?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need a lot of time?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't drop in any suggestions or ideas yet here.
Sure.
I love it. I might do that at Unique Identity Step 3. But I love it for a little bit later. What I would do from here is I'd say, so incredible. And in terms of the legal world, right? So what's making you want to get out of it so much? And like, what's happening? That's a beautiful access to the pain point, right?
Sure.
And they might go, oh, I don't want to get out of it that much. I kind of enjoy it. They might do, right? And then it's what's working. What are the challenges? Okay.
Yeah.
So what I do from here is, okay. And, you know, and they're going to give you access to some of the legal challenges that you might be able to solve. So let's presume I said in that moment, you know, it's so difficult dealing with, and I'll give you an access, right? Because I think it would come up naturally. So I don't think it's staged. I say, yeah, it's like, you know, just crazy. There's so much legal work I deal with internally. We have this really odd dynamic of figuring out what I should hand off, what I shouldn't. And then when I hand things off to outside counsel, of course, I get a lot of challenges from my boss about legal bills with the outside entities, and I feel like there's a lot of legal work that's inefficient. So yeah, I mean, if I could have it all my way, I coach chess. So I stay in the law, I'd probably have even better people to work with. I mean, I love the people I work with. I honor them, but I think there's increased efficiencies that could come up, and so that would be super important to me. Hint:
Gotcha.
I would now transition right now and say, Sean, thanks so much. Could I share a little bit about myself? I transition right here into step 3, deliver your unique identity, about you and the interview you want to do. So I'm setting up the efficiency of time so we can hear what it looks like. So go.
Yeah, sure. So Sean, do you mind if I share a little bit about myself?
Yeah, no, I can't believe how much I told you about me. I'd love to know a little more about you. Thank you.
No, but I've appreciated it very much. So my background is I'm actually first generation, born here, raised in a really rough area, rough neighborhood. And as a result of that upbringing and a very amazing upbringing by my parents teaching me important symbols and virtues like honesty, truth-telling, fairness, and justice, I decided to become a lawyer. And I joined up with a law firm, Callagy Law, and I became a relentless guardian for my clients. And I rose through the ranks. I achieved amazing results there, results that I'm so proud of. We have 2 top 100 national jury verdicts. I've helped countless clients in any one of their challenges. And then I've become a leader to a team of associates and other attorneys that are like warriors trying to produce the exact same results that I have. And in that vein, what I've been able to do is actually not only perform legal services and help like people as an attorney, but I've also began the process of disseminating information about how they can produce, shape, and influence results for themselves, whether it's a legal challenge or a non-legal challenge. And so one of the ways that I've found a way to disseminate that information is doing exactly what we just did, right? Talking about someone like you, right? And the challenges that you face and your dreams and what you aspire to. And so people can like listen to who you are and say, and identify with that and say, wow, I'm very much like that person. I can have my dreams too, and here's how I do it. And so what I've been doing is doing types of webinars, doing like Zoom calls and interviews, and then posting them and making them available to other people. And I would love, if you're available, to do a telephone call, a Zoom call, whatever it is, just like this, to be able to get your identity out into the universe, because you are an interesting person. You say you're boring. I don't think you're boring at all.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like something that I'd like to do. Sounds
That's
good. Fernando, quick time check, Fernando.
So 45,
Right.
good time to switch it up.
I'm going to switch it. So I'm going to switch it and type. Michael, that was really outstanding. And, provided there was the access points we talked about, and here's in service of you and in service of everybody listening out there, how I'm going to frame this. The frame is going to be, I'm not going to drop back into emotional rapport building because I critiqued Michael a number of times and jumped in, did a very nice job. And we gave him a couple of additional access points. And remember, what we're talking about is to make sure you step into each of the 4 energies where you get the opportunity. So in that moment, where a person's like, hey, let's just do it for a sec. I will drop in. Fernando, give me a beep at 3 minutes from right now, because I just want to illustrate something real quick. All right. So if I'm stepping back in to Michael and we're having a conversation, and let's say that I'm Sean, you're Michael, but Michael, I'm really you, right? In terms of your background, working in Callagy Law, and you're somebody who works inside of a corporation, and you've said you're boring. Let's pick it up there. And I'm like, so Michael, yeah, no, thank you. But can I just have like 5 minutes to see if you're actually boring or not? And we'll make that call together. Would that work for you?
Yeah, I mean, hope you're not going to try to convince me that I'm not boring, because I'm pretty sure I am.
I definitely will not try to convince you of anything. I promise you that. Except the truth. Is it okay if we like unlock truth together?
Yes, of course.
No, thank you so much. So what is it that you like to do that leaves you feeling that you're boring?
So, as soon as the 5 o'clock bell rings, I like to get home. I like to have dinner with my wife and my kids. I like to put them to sleep, and I like to just hang out on the couch and just watch TV. Right, that's what I do.
Amazing. And how old are your children?
So I have a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old. 8-week-old, I'm sorry.
Amazing.
Feels like an 8-month-old.
And that sounds to me to be anything but boring.
Yeah, I know.
It's incredibly, consuming. It has to
But
be.
Sean, I'm 36 years old. Aren't I supposed to be going out and drinking and having a great time? Sounds pretty boring to me.
Yeah. And just out of I know you're saying that in fun, and I think that is a fun paradigm, but why don't you do that?
I'll be honest. I just made a decision that I don't really like that, right? And I don't want to do that. So I'd rather be home.
And can I ask this? Why do you want to be home? And not out in the bars and partying?
Because there's nothing fulfilling about that life, right? Being at home and spending time, even if your kids make you crazy, they make you want to jump out of a window sometimes, especially when you're stuck in quarantine with them, there's nothing better in the world.
And how do you think the world, Michael, would be impacted if more people thought like you do?
There'll be a lot fewer bars, I'll tell you that.
What else would there be?
I think you'd have a lot of people really understanding what it is to love and really care for people. I think you'd have a lot of growth. You'd have a lot of opportunity for folks that don't really fully appreciate how amazing and beautiful they are. I don't think you'd have as many self-esteem issues, right? And those kinds of challenges. I think it would just be an all-around much better place.
And do you think you're as boring as you did 5 minutes ago?
Not as boring, but still pretty darn boring, at least as the world would measure.
Ding.
Okay, and what if I told you that what we're doing on these calls, these podcasts that we're doing is to show people what they don't see and how much more depth and fulfillment can come from the choices you're making than maybe from the choices they're making? And if I said you're completely not boring and you're exactly what we're looking for, would you be able to step into that?
100%, yes.
All right. That's the access. It's heart level. It's disruption. We hit fun. Michael joked a couple times back and forth. Re-listen to that. That's the access. Where you're saying it's always, I see you, I hear you, and what you say matters. I see you, I hear you, and what you say matters. So let's skip step 2. I'll jump into now. I'm going to be Michael Smikun at step 3 in the role play. Let me, for these purposes, I'll call you Joe. So Joe, can I share a little bit about myself?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing all the talking so far.
Yeah, and I just want to acknowledge you for being the father you are, for having the intentions you do about the world, and for really playing an extraordinary role in making my day better. Because I don't hear from a lot of people who have the value structure that you do, and it's inspirational. So thank you.
Thank you.
Acknowledgement, footnote, acknowledgement, or hashtag acknowledgement, as my kids would say, and they laugh at me when I say hashtag anything. So I'm not allowed to because I'm too old and uncool, but that would be what my kids would say. So yeah, so me, Joe, I grew up in the projects, and I am a white male, 36-year-old attorney. And I don't think that's too utterly common. And when I was a child, adolescent, one of the great challenges for me was making a decision if I could go see a friend or not, and having to look to see if there's somebody who's going to attack me, physically beat me, or make me physically fight one of my friends. And I only share that because it, in addition to the incredible values that my immigrant parents share with me, came from Russia, turned me into a person who wanted to avoid conflict, who wanted to avoid people who weren't nice. And I went to law school to escape dysfunction and to be in an environment where people functioned under a normalized set of rules and structures. Like, you came home at night and you tucked your kids in, and you acted like civilized people when you went to work during the day. Pause. Michael Smikun, am I authentically saying who and what you are and why?
100%, yes.
Okay, so just everybody's tracking. This is real of who Michael is, okay? And so what I found, though, was the legal world wasn't as physically uncivilized as where I grew up, but it was as mentally and emotionally, and quite frankly, as practically, every bit as much and maybe even more uncivilized. And I didn't want to accept it. And then I did. However, I accepted that I could operate in that structure with a massive level of integrity and still be me, working with clients who also had a true north towards integrity and still be able to function. So the work of my life, Joe, has been to get that message out there and to be that. And seeing the alignment of your vision and your prioritization of family, and that's mine, it would be an honor to have you on this podcast. And I mean that sincerely. So would you do it? Like, or how do you feel about it?
Yes, when do we start shooting?
All right. Fernando, present for you.
Presence for me is the power of questions, how being in the 4 steps sequentially and like in a linear method, just create access. What I'm currently most focused on in the level of influence is the variance of energies intentionally. And that's what showed here. So a lot of those different dynamics, indispensable elements in and out. I'm rushing through what we would say the formula, but it's like digesting all these data points, the matching and mirroring, the language, the emphasis on the pausing, the congruence. There's so much that happened in such a brief time that was just optimal. So thank you for the both of you for creating that contrast.
All right. Hello to yes. Any final before I take it home?
Michael?
No, from me. Yeah, I guess, Sean, thank you. You know, I really appreciate you having me on this and being able to share a little bit about myself. I actually, it's strange, and it's always a strange feeling. I know that we're doing this like as an exercise, but I actually feel heard, right? I feel understood. And so I'm like leaving this call feeling like I just got off the phone with someone that like wanted to actually listen to me, you know? And it's always a funny feeling that even when you're doing it in the form of an exercise, it still makes people feel good, right? And if you're doing it for love, without judgment and compassion and wanting to just make a person's day feel better, just listening to them, acknowledging them and validating, it's better than anything you could possibly do for them. So it's such a great feeling being on here. And I just want to thank you for having me.
Well, Michael, you are deeply loved. I love you, brother. I appreciate you. I believe in you, and I hear you. I see you, and what you say matters to me. Final is if somebody were to say, yeah, like I get it. Like this is like some sales stuff, and you know, Sean's got some, you know, good ways of being with people, whatever. But you know, I don't know. This isn't really for me. I don't see how it could help me. What would you say to them about how Unblinded Mastery can support them in more money and less time with more magic?
Yeah, it's funny because even in the statements and the words that they use, what's revealed is that they're blocked by ego. And if they were to open up their heart, open up their mind, not be defensive, go all out, let it all in, and understand and appreciate what this formula can do, what its purpose is, and to stop worrying about like whether or not it's going to make their life better or worse, they would benefit so much in their lives from it. It doesn't just improve your professional life. It doesn't just create opportunities for sales mastery. It improves your relationship with your children. It improves your relationship with your spouse. It improves how you communicate with the average person. It improves your colleagues, your employees, you know, the random person that you catch in the elevator just to like lighten up their day by actually hearing them, acknowledging them, and validating it. It's a tool to improve your life. And if you set out to use it for professional purposes, you're going to improve your professional life. If you use it as a tool to improve your life, you'll improve your life and have a change in your trajectory.
No, thank you, brother. You certainly have. Fernando, final?
What I'm thinking about is a conversation we had and how, you know, some might view this formula, and my apologies for not knowing the language on the sport, but when you're running like a relay race and you're passing the baton, it's like you're just grabbing an element, grabbing an energy and just like sprinting through life. When in reality, there's like this potential need to pause, to stop. And it's not about how you grab the baton. It's about how you take off in the beginning of the race. And for everyone that's trying to just grab bits and pieces, just trying to, you know, build a ship as they're jumping off the mountain, sometimes the best thing you can do is pause, reassess, and accelerate faster instead of just trying to drop nitrous oxide when you're already running 100 miles an hour. So that is what's present for me.
Yeah. If you're not in mastery, please, for you, get in the program. If you are in mastery, dig even deeper than you're already digging, whatever level of digging you're at, confronting yourself. Every day, get on the huddles. Thank you for being here. Have an incredible day and create massive acceleration in your ecosystem with people at the huddles. See you in the morning. Thank you.
www.unblindedhuddle.com. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.